So just what is an average game of Battletech? I asked that question, and I'll say for myself, a lot depends on your gaming group, where you are in the moment, what the size of your collection is. An average game of Battletech for me is 6 to 8K battle value. A mixture of combined arms. You know I'm going to be rocking some infantry. You know there's going to be a lot of tanks. But there's going to be a lot of mechs also, and it might be played over a variety of gaming tables, scenarios, and maps. So that kind of qualifies maybe for a bigger game. But at the same time, focusing on that, I ask the question, partly out of curiosity, what's an average game of Battletech for you? What does it look like for your group or your friends that you play with? But also the charge to get the most out of your miniature collection. No matter where you are in the moment, you're in the Battletech universe. And take that average size game, scale it down, make it small, make it very intimate. Boost it up, make it bigger and bigger. Play 1 versus 1, but 2 versus 2, or 3 versus 3, multiple scenarios. Winner takes all. A lot of different ways. Look at your models as a way to explore that narrative. So we're going to kind of dial things down because I've been looking at some of the missions over the years that I've played. Some of these have been published missions. Some of them have been house-based missions. Others have been kind of borrowed from other gaming systems to incorporate that. Let's talk about one mech versus one mech. And let's talk about a light or medium mech. So we don't have crazy firepower. We've got mobility. We've got a lot of tactical fluidity with how it works. How could we play that type of game, and what would make that interesting? So the first thing, 1 versus 1. It's going to play pretty quick, even being tactical. Initiative is going to be big, winning and losing initiative. There's also this idea of only having one model, which means that you don't have any redundancy. You don't have other things to rely upon. It's literally winner takes all. That makes things very swingy in terms of combat. You get hit in the head, you go down turn 1, something crazy happens, or early on, that's Battletech, it could happen. So playing one-on-one, a slugfest, I find, isn't always the best match. It's better to have a reason tactically to be there, other than to just kind of blow each other up. Let's kind of have that fluidity, let's have that dynamics. So one of the missions that I enjoy playing, I got to give credit where it's due. I play a lot of Mordheim, which is, I guess, from the 90s, a Games Workshop skirmish game. This idea, really quick, just to give you an idea of the narrative, you have a warband, Dwarven treasure hunters, chaos, mercenaries, Skaven. They're kind of like, I was going to say mouse people, but rat people. This idea that a comet crashed into the city, decimated everything. At the core of the comet was this magical stone, weird stone, that has powers, alchemical powers. Think of the spice, right? Everything goes back to Dune anyway. So these various warbands go into the damned city, go into the ruins, fighting, looking for these shards. And I have to say, the missions for the game are fantastic. I've totally borrowed them for other missions, and I've utilized them from Battletech. There's a mission called Treasure Hunt, where you have 5, 6, 7, 8 points marked off on your gaming table. Usually they're keyed into terrain pieces, like ruins or key pieces. And when a warband or a miniature enters that terrain piece, you roll 2d6. And if you get a 12, you've located the treasure. That's where the weird stone, that's where the treasure is. If not, then that piece of terrain doesn't have it. If you make it, or if your opponent makes it to the last terrain piece that's undiscovered, the treasure is automatically there. So what about this for Battletech? Here's how I've adapted this. Playing on my hex map, marking out 6, 7, 8 terrain features, part of the forest, the hills, or maybe some broken rocks, marking them down as potential places for lost tech, a spy satellite that crashed and ejected the data core, a Swiftwind scout vehicle that's got the intel on something and has been immobilized, something that a mech can pick up with its hands, or if we're playing a blind draw, something that a mech can move into there, because not all mechs have hands. A mech moves into that space, and it hits the download, and it has it. So now, you start on your side of the table. I start on mine, and we dance around. We quickly try to cover these points as quickly as we can, hoping to roll the double sixes, but if not, then skirmishing, fighting, and once you find the spot, or the spot's finally revealed, then you have the data core. You have to make it off the table. If you don't make it off the table and your opponent immobilizes you or destroys you, then they can kind of download the data core and make it off the table. So there is a lot of variety in Battletech, and I want to challenge you, and we're going to start jumping into, this was kind of the framework, we're going to start jumping into some of the missions and tactically how do we overlay it and explore it. But 1 versus 1, even though many of us play big games or multiple mechs, you can do a lot. You can have a fun time, and the nice part that I like about smaller games, especially with Battletech, you can, if we have 3 or 4 hours to play Battletech, I think an average night might be about 3 hours at the gaming club, we can get in 3 games. We can get in 3 games of Battletech, which is great, because this way if I lose, I don't have to hear it all week from my friends and what great mech warriors they are and this. No, dude, you got lucky, okay? You got lucky with the headshot. But that gives you a chance. I love playing multiple games if possible, because that gives you a lot of chances to leave the evening with victory. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys. We're going to focus on 1 mech versus 1 mech. 1 light, 1 medium. What mech would you pick for the random mission if it was this kind of recovery sensory mission? And tapping into that experience, what other missions out there do you think are well suited for 1 mech versus 1 mech?